All right, so today we're going to be looking at audit opinions.
Yeah.
And
That could be fun.
it is going to be fun. We're using this podcast episode that was made for new compliance officers.
Yeah.
So hopefully it'll be pretty easy to understand.
I think it will.
You know, we can all
It's a great resource for anybody.
gain some superpowers today.
Yeah, and this isn't just for compliance officers, you know?
Yes.
If you're an investor,
This is for everybody.
if you are a regulator,
Yeah.
you're reading the business news,
Mm-hmm.
it's important to understand what these audit opinions mean.
So
Yeah.
what is an audit opinion?
So think of it this way, right?
Okay.
A company's financial statements
Mm-hmm.
are like a snapshot of their financial health.
Right. Yeah.
The audit opinion is like a doctor's assessment of that snapshot.
Okay.
So it's telling you whether the picture is accurate and complete
Right.
or if there are any areas of concern.
Yeah, so it's like instead of just looking at the numbers, we're getting an expert to interpret it for us to say
Yes.
like, hey, these numbers are good, or hey, these numbers are...
It's like getting a second opinion
Yeah.
from a doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
So-
instead of just taking the company's word for it.
Exactly.
We
Exactly.
have an objective third party.
Yeah. And just like a doctor might give you a clean bill of health,
Right.
they may
flag some issues.
flag some potential issues.
Yeah.
Auditors have different types of opinions
So they get...
they can issue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like
pass or fail.
not just pass or fail.
There's some nuance to it.
There are four main types,
Okay.
and each one carries a different message
Yeah.
about the company's financial reporting. And we'll be diving deep into each of them today.
Cool.
But to give you a quick overview,
Okay.
there's the unqualified opinion,
Okay.
which is the gold standard.
Mm-hmm.
A clean bill of health.
That's the one you want.
That's the one you want. Then there's the qualified opinion,
Okay.
which means there might be some issues, but they're not major.
Yeah.
Then we have the adverse opinion,
Oh.
and that's a serious red flag.
Great.
Finally, there's the disclaimer of opinion,
Okay.
where the auditor is basically saying, I can't even give you an opinion because I
no.
don't have enough information.
Right.
So it's kind of like a grading scale, right?
Like from A+ to like, I don't know, not even a grade.
Yeah, like incomplete.
Yeah.
You know?
Like he didn't even show up.
Yeah, he didn't even show up.
Yeah.
And what's fascinating is understanding these opinions can help you read between the lines, right? Spot potential risks
Mhm.
and make more informed decisions, whether you're investing in a company working for them or just trying to understand the financial world better.
Right. So let's talk about that that A+,
Okay.
that unqualified opinion.
Technical qualified opinion. Yeah.
Our source material calls it the clean opinion.
Yeah, the clean opinion.
What makes it so special?
So an unqualified opinion means the auditor has examined the company's financial statements
Right?
and found them to be accurate, complete,
Oh,
and in accordance with generally accepted accounting principles, or GAAP.
right.
This is a huge vote of confidence,
Mhm.
essentially saying, we've looked at everything,
Yeah.
and it all checks out.
So it's not just
Mm.
about the numbers adding up. It's
Yeah.
about the company
Mm-hmm.
following the rules
Yeah.
of accounting.
Following the rules and presenting a transparent
Okay.
and reliable picture of their financial situation.
So GAAP, does that
You get it.
help?
So GAAP helps ensure consistency
Right.
and comparability
Right.
in financial reporting.
So you're comparing apples to apples.
Yeah, it allows investors and other stakeholders to compare apples to apples when evaluating different companies.
So it's standardized.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's standardized.
Yeah.
So it's like using the same ruler
Right.
to measure different things.
So a company that has an unqualified opinion is basically saying,
Yeah.
you can trust our numbers.
Exactly.
We're playing by the
We're
rules.
playing by the rules.
But let's be honest.
Yeah.
The world is rarely that perfect.
It rarely is.
So what
It's
happens?
messy out there.
Yeah, what happens when things aren't
Yeah.
so clean cut?
That's where the other opinions come in.
Okay, well, let's dive into those less than perfect scenarios, starting with the qualified opinion.
Okay.
This is where things get a little more nuanced, right?
Exactly. A qualified opinion isn't necessarily a bad thing. Okay.
Right.
But it's a signal to pay close attention.
Okay.
It means the auditor found something that gave them pause,
Okay.
but not something so serious that it completely undermines the financial statements.
So it's like if you go to the doctor and they say, you're generally healthy,
That's a
but
great analogy.
your cholesterol is a bit high. Let's keep an eye on it.
Yeah.
It's not an immediate crisis,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it's something to be aware of.
Something to watch.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it highlights the importance of looking beyond the headline.
Okay.
Right. And understanding the details.
Right.
With a qualified opinion, the auditor will clearly state the reasons for the qualification,
Right.
and those reasons can vary widely.
So what are some common reasons
Yeah.
for a qualified opinion? What kind of situations might
It
trigger?
could be something relatively minor,
Okay.
like a disagreement over the application of a specific accounting principle.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the company is using a method that the auditor disagrees with,
Right.
even though it's technically allowed.
Right. Okay.
Or perhaps there's a limitation
Okay.
in the scope of the audit,
Right.
for example.
Yeah.
Imagine a company has a subsidiary in a remote location,
Okay.
and the auditor can't physically access all the necessary documentation.
So even if the company's overall financials are sound,
Right.
that lack of access creates some uncertainty.
Yeah,
And that's enough to trigger
precisely.
a qualified opinion. Right.
And this is where it becomes crucial for investors and other stakeholders to carefully read the auditor's report
Right.
and understand the nuances of the qualification.
Right. Right.
Is it a minor issue that's easily addressed?
Mm-hmm.
Or does it point to a potential red flag that requires further investigation?
Yeah, you start to see how this can be
Yeah.
kind of a detective.
Yeah, it's like a puzzle.
Yeah.
You got to put the pieces together.
Mm-hmm. You're not just looking at the surface.
Yeah.
You're digging a little bit deeper.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
but, we all want to get to the juicy stuff.
The good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about that dreaded adverse opinion?
Uh-oh.
What happens when a company gets that?
Now we're getting into red flag territory.
Okay.
Okay. An adverse opinion
Yeah.
is essentially the auditor saying, hold on, something is seriously wrong here.
Okay.
These financial statements don't give a true and fair view of the company's financial position.
Our source material says materially misstated.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
It means the financial statements are so inaccurate or incomplete
Okay.
that they could mislead investors
Right.
and other stakeholders.
Right.
We're not talking about a typo or a rounding error here.
Right.
A material misstatement is a significant issue
Right.
that can have serious consequences.
So are we talking about like fraudulent activity?
Yeah, it could be.
Or just incompetence?
It could be either, or even a combination of factors.
Okay.
Right. Maybe the company is intentionally cooking the books
Right.
to inflate their earnings or hide losses.
Right.
Or perhaps they have serious weaknesses in their internal controls,
Okay.
leading to unintentional errors that snowball into major misstatements.
That's scary.
It's not good.
It's kind of scary that that's possible.
Ah.
That makes me feel like we need...
You need those independent auditors
Yeah.
who aren't afraid to call out wrongdoing,
Yeah.
even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah, you want somebody who's...
We want somebody who's going to stand up and say something.
Yeah, who's going to be like,
Yeah, hey, this isn't right.
yeah, this isn't right.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got the A+,
Yeah.
we've got the maybe a B,
Yeah.
and then we got the F.
F.
What about that incomplete grade?
The incomplete,
The disclaimer of opinion.
the disclaimer of opinion.
When does that come into play?
This is where the auditor is basically throwing their hands up and saying,
Yeah.
I can't give you an opinion on these financial statements because I don't have enough information.
Yeah. So it's not that
Yeah.
they think something's wrong, it's just that they can't.
It's not necessarily that they think something's wrong.
Right.
They're just saying, look, I don't have enough information to make a judgment call.
Right, right.
Right. And that lack of clarity
Mhm.
can be just as unsettling
Yeah.
as a negative opinion because it raises questions
Yeah.
about the company's transparency
Mm-hmm.
and their willingness to cooperate with the audit process.
So what are some reasons that an
Yeah.
auditor might...
Well, it could be that the company refused to provide certain documents
Okay,
or restricted access to key personnel.
right.
Or maybe there was a natural disaster
Yeah.
or other unforeseen event
Yeah.
that made it impossible for the auditor to complete their work.
So it's not always, a sign of
Right.
something nefarious, but it does
It could be.
make you wonder.
Right, it could be.
Okay,
And it highlights the importance of considering the context,
right.
right, and understanding why the auditor was unable to form an opinion,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
For a compliance officer, a disclaimer of opinion should trigger a thorough investigation
Yeah.
to get at the bottom of the issue.
It's like, I'm not saying there's a fire, but I can't tell you
Yeah.
if there is or not.
Yeah, I can't see inside the building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, cool. So that's really insightful.
Yeah, a lot.
We've gone from A+ to incomplete.
Yeah.
Why should...
It's a whole spectrum.
It is a whole spectrum.
Yeah.
Why should our listeners care about this?
That's a great question.
What's...
And it's one we'll be exploring in more depth as we continue our deep dive.
Right.
But think about it this way. Whether you're thinking about investing in a company,
Mm-hmm.
working for them,
Yeah.
or just trying to understand how businesses operate,
Right.
these opinions can give you valuable insights into their financial health
Mm-hmm.
and their overall trustworthiness.
Yeah, it's like being able to look behind the curtain and see what's really going on.
Exactly. It's all about transparency and understanding the risks involved.
Yeah, so we've just scratched the surface here.
We have, yeah.
In the next part, I was going to dive a little bit deeper into...
Yeah, we'll take an even closer look at each of these opinions,
Right.
explore some real-world examples,
Yeah.
and discuss how you can use this knowledge to make more informed decisions.
So stay with us.
Stay tuned.
We'll be right back.
We'll be right back.
All right, so we're back, and we're diving even deeper into these audit opinions. We talked about that unqualified opinion being like that gold standard, the A+,
The clean
the
opinion.
clean opinion, the one everybody wants.
Yeah.
What kind of work goes into getting that?
So it's a rigorous process,
Sure.
to say the least.
Okay.
Auditors don't just glance at a spreadsheet and call it a day.
Right.
They're combing through tons of documentation, right? Invoices, bank statements, contracts, inventory records, you name it.
So they're really looking at everything.
They're looking at everything.
Okay.
They're also interviewing employees,
Oh, wow.
testing internal controls,
Okay.
performing analytical procedures to make sure everything adds up and makes sense.
So they're not just trying to, catch a mistake or something. They're
Yep.
really trying to understand how the company does their accounting.
Exactly. It's not just about catching errors.
Right.
It's about assessing the company's overall approach to financial reporting. Right. A company that consistently receives unqualified opinions is demonstrating a commitment to transparency and accuracy.
Yeah, they're saying, like, we're
Yeah.
doing things the right way.
We take this seriously,
Yeah.
and we have robust systems in place to ensure our financial reporting is reliable.
Right. So you can kind of trust that.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a powerful message to send to investors, lenders, and anyone else who relies on those financial statements.
But like we talked about before,
Yeah,
not every company operates at that level.
not every company, yeah.
So let's talk about some of those real-world scenarios
Okay,
that might lead to a qualified opinion.
okay.
Remember, this isn't necessarily a bad thing,
Right, it's not the end of the world.
but it's something.
It's more like a yellow flag.
Yeah.
Something needs further attention.
Right.
One common scenario is a limitation
Okay.
on the scope of the audit.
Our source material had that example of like
Yeah,
a subsidiary in a place where it might be dangerous
right.
for the auditor to go.
That's a great example, yeah.
So,
Even if the company's overall financials are sound, that lack of access introduces uncertainty.
right, because they can't really get all
Yeah.
the information.
Exactly.
And another reason we talked about was like disagreement
Oh.
over accounting principles.
Yeah, disagreement over the application of accounting principles.
So it's like they're not necessarily
Right.
doing anything wrong, but
Yeah, it's like, I see what you did there,
yeah.
and it's not technically wrong, but I'm not entirely comfortable with it.
Yeah. It makes me a little nervous,
It makes me a little nervous.
but I can't say it's wrong.
Exactly.
Okay. And in these cases, the auditor will say like, hey, this is...
Right, they'll explain their reservations in the report,
Yeah.
which can be invaluable information for anyone analyzing the company's financial statements.
Yeah. So again, it's like, you got to read between the lines.
You got to read between the lines
Look at the detail.
and connect the dots.
Yeah. All right. Let's go to that one. Where the warning bells are really going off.
Oh.
The adverse opinion.
The adverse opinion, yeah.
That's happening here.
So an adverse opinion is a big red flag, right?
Yeah.
It means the auditor has found some serious, pervasive problems with the financial statements.
Oh, okay.
Okay? Problems that could mislead investors.
So we talked about materially misstated.
Yeah.
What does that actually look like?
So imagine a company that's trying to inflate its earnings
Okay.
to make itself look more attractive to investors, right?
Right.
They might overstate their revenue, understate their expenses,
Okay.
or even create fictitious transactions to boost their bottom line.
So they're like making stuff up.
Potentially, yeah.
Cooking the books?
Cooking the books,
That's
exactly.
what they mean
Yeah.
by materially misstated.
That's one possibility, yeah.
Or it could just be like they're really bad at accounting.
It could be gross negligence or incompetence.
Right.
Maybe the company's accounting systems are a mess.
Mhm.
And they're making significant errors that go undetected for a long time.
Okay, so an adverse opinion is like run away.
Yeah, it's a signal that something is seriously wrong.
Right.
And investors would be wise to approach that company with extreme caution.
Yeah, that's a big warning sign.
Big warning sign, yeah.
All right, so we've gone from A+ to F.
Yeah.
Now, that incomplete
The incomplete?
disclaimer of opinion.
Yeah, the disclaimer of opinion.
But why would an auditor not
Yeah, why would they not give an opinion?
give an opinion? Isn't that their whole job?
That is their job. But sometimes they simply don't have enough information
Okay.
to make a judgment call.
Right.
It's like trying to solve a puzzle with
Yeah.
half the pieces missing.
Right.
Right. You might have some ideas, but you can't be sure of the complete picture.
So you mentioned, like, the company might not give them the information?
Right. Limitations imposed by the company.
What else?
Sometimes it's due to factors outside the company's control.
Okay.
Imagine a major natural disaster that destroys the company's records.
Okay, so it's not...
Or perhaps there's a legal dispute
Right.
that prevents the auditor from accessing certain information.
So, again, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's definitely a...
Right. It's not necessarily nefarious,
Yeah.
but it does raise questions
Yeah, question mark.
about transparency
Yeah.
and the company's willingness to cooperate with the audit process.
Okay, so those are kind of the
The
main
scenario.
scenarios. We've gone from, like, really good to, like, ooh, I don't know.
Yeah, the whole spectrum.
So how can our listeners use this information? Welcome back to the deep dive. We've been talking about audit opinions.
That's right.
We've kind of gone through all of them, the good, the bad, the the ugly.
In between.
But now, how can we use this information?
That's a great question.
Like, why does this even matter?
Why does it matter?
Let's say you're an investor
Okay.
and you're looking at, a company, and how would you use these audit opinions to decide, like, hey, is this company good or not?
So you're thinking about investing in a company.
Yeah.
You come across their financial statements. How do you use these audit opinions to help you make a decision?
Yeah.
So, from what we've talked about so far,
Mm.
I would imagine you'd be looking for companies with a track record of unqualified opinions.
Yeah, I would want to see that. They're consistently
Getting that clean bill of health.
Yeah, getting that clean opinion.
That would give you a sense of confidence, right?
Right.
That their financial reporting is reliable.
Yeah, that they're
And they're doing things the right way.
following the rules, they're being transparent.
Exactly. They have those strong internal controls, right?
Yeah.
Commitment to transparency.
What if you see a qualified opinion?
So what if you come across a company with a qualified opinion?
Yeah. Does that mean, like, no way, I'm out of here?
Does that automatically disqualify them?
Yeah.
I don't think so, right? It all depends, and this is where the nuance comes in.
Yeah.
You have to really understand the reasons behind that qualified opinion.
Read that auditor's report and see what they're saying.
What's the nature of the qualification?
Yeah, so it's like, it might be a minor thing.
Yeah, is it a minor disagreement over an accounting principle? Or is it something more serious, like a limitation in the scope of the audit
Right.
that prevented the auditor from getting enough evidence?
So, again, it's like you got to be a detective. You got
You
to
got to do your homework.
do your homework, read those reports.
Read those reports.
What about an adverse opinion, though?
So an adverse opinion, that's a different story, right?
Yeah, like, that's probably
That's a serious matter.
a no-go.
It suggests there are some fundamental problems
Yeah.
with the company's financial reporting, problems that could really impact their future.
Right. That's like
Yeah, that's a big red flag.
a big flashing siren.
Flashing siren, stay away.
Yeah.
Stay away.
Okay, so we've got those two.
Yeah.
Now, that disclaimer,
The disclaimer.
the disclaimer of opinion,
Disclaimer of opinion.
how do we use that information?
So disclaimers can be tricky, right?
Yeah.
They don't really give you a clear answer.
Right, it's like, I don't know.
It's a big question mark hanging over the company's financials.
Right.
The key is understanding why the auditor couldn't form an opinion.
Yeah, and it might be for innocent reasons.
Yeah, is it due to factors beyond the company's control, like a natural disaster
Yeah.
that wiped out all their records?
Okay.
Or is it because the company wasn't playing ball,
Yeah.
right? They weren't cooperative with the audit.
Okay.
They were obstructive.
Yeah, so it's like,
There are different reasons.
question mark, do your homework.
Yeah, question mark, investigate.
Investigate.
Do your homework, absolutely.
Okay, so we've been talking about investors. This isn't just for investors, though, right?
This is for everybody.
Anyone
Yeah.
who's dealing with a company.
Right. Employees, suppliers, customers, anyone who's interacting with a company.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about going to work for a company.
Yeah, maybe you're considering a job offer.
Yeah.
You can check their audit history, right?
Yeah.
Get a sense of their financial stability,
Yeah.
their overall approach to business.
If you're a supplier.
If you're a supplier, you're extending credit to a company.
Yeah.
You're going to want to know, right?
Yeah.
What their audit opinions are, assess their credit worthiness,
Yeah.
manage your risk.
Yeah.
These reports are a window into a company's financial health, you know?
Yeah. So it's really important to understand these.
Yeah, their commitment to transparency.
They're like a really useful tool.
They're a powerful tool, yeah.
This has been fun.
It has been fun. I've had a good time.
I feel like I've learned a lot about audit opinions.
Yeah, me too.
Hopefully our listeners have as well.
Hopefully.
So next time you see an audit report, don't just ignore it.
Don't just skim over it.
Yeah. Take the time.
Take your time.
Read it.
Read it carefully. Understand what those opinions are telling you.
You might find something interesting.
It's like solving a puzzle, right?
Yeah.
A financial mystery.
We'll be back next week
We'll be back next week.
with another deep dive.
Another topic, another deep dive.
So until then, stay curious
Stay curious.
and keep learning.
Keep learning.